Guys, we are live here in Ladybug's garden, 10B. Now that the rain is gone, I'm coming outside to really assess what's going on in the garden here. But starting out over here with our lemon tree here, remove the lemons from the tree because I'm starting to lose some of them. And with all of the rain that we've been getting, I've been poking around, and I don't know if you guys can be able to see that, but some of the lemons are beginning to mold on the tree. So I definitely need to get the lemons off, and I'll start juicing some today and tomorrow. I won't be able to juice all of them today, and that's okay. But I definitely need to get the lemons off of the tree. Over here in our first raised bed, we have our Brussels sprouts that are starting to form here. But this is our broccoli. We had a lot of broccoli come off of this plant. I'm going to be renovating my garden space, as you guys know, to protect my garden from my two garden gnomes, Livy and Ollie. And they have their own YouTube page at the Wonder Twins 20. So please go by and check them out, all their shenanigans and hijinks that they like to do. But I'm going to start clearing out my raised beds. I probably won't be planting anything in them for the spring because I need them to be emptied before I can move them. And, I want to freshen up the soil and everything. But I am going to be keeping my collards, and I have starter stalks on here. So I have one, two, this one is three, and this one back here is four. So I will take those collard stalks off of there, and I will pot them up in a different pot. One of my flower pots fell off of my shed door, but right here we have a lot of marigolds. So what I'll probably do is go in and remove these and pot them up as well so that I can plant them throughout all of my raised beds. I was growing kale for my daughter because she likes kale chips, but unfortunately, she doesn't eat them up fast enough, and we don't eat kale like that. So I'll probably just keep one short plant for her, and I'll probably put the rest of them in my compost bin. We'll get to that, but yeah, I'm trying to compost. We'll see how that works out. I do have one more cabbage left that I need to harvest, so I'll probably be harvesting that one today. My green onion right here is starting to go to seed, so I'll probably let this continue growing so that I can get some of the seeds from there. Here is my second collard plant. And on here, I have one, two, three, and number four back here. So I'll be removing those stalks as well to pot up. I am going to come in and, lost that one. I'll get that one. But I will come in and all of my marigolds so that I can plant them and we can get some more flowers for the garden. If you guys remember, this was my volunteer tomato plant. And if you are looking for a very prolific tomato, I highly recommend the black strawberry. We got a lot of tomatoes off of here. As you can see, I don't know if you guys, let's see. We still have tomatoes growing on here. I'm going to be digging this plant up. Um, I'm not going to need it anymore because, like I said, we're going to be renovating the garden, and I'm not going to be growing this variety next year, but I am going to wait for those to ripen up a little bit more before I remove them from this area right here. But yes, this is the black strawberry tomato. I like the flavor of the tomato. Over here, my cilantro is starting to finish up. We have another green onion that I'm going to be pulling. Mushrooms are popping up, so I guess my soil is doing pretty well. Here we have our black seeded Simpson lettuce that we sowed on, what's that, January 27th. So it's doing pretty good right now. Here we have our red salad bowl lettuce, and it's slowly germinating, but it's coming along. Here we have our Tom Thumb bib lettuce, and just like the red salad bowl, it's germinating slowly but surely. And here we have our bronze mignonette, and it's starting to germinate as well. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna let it grow and we'll see what it is. But I had one green bean decided it wanted to pop up, so we'll let that grow, see how far it will get. Look at all of the mushrooms that I have growing in this bed. I mean, it's growing out the sides of my raised beds. And in this bed, I do know for a fact that I have grubs in this bed. The other three beds I cleaned out during the summer. So there was no grub activity in these three, but there's definitely grub activity in this one. And I put some nematodes in this bed. So I'm wondering if all of the mushroom growth that I have in this particular bed, even though I have mushrooms growing over here, this is a large amount of mushrooms growing over here, and I'm wondering, is it because I put the nematodes in here? I'm not sure. It was my first time using nematodes, so let me know in the comments. But over here, we have our three varieties of collards. And unlike my tree collards over here, these collards don't grow starter stalks. So what I would like to do when I dig these up is try to get all of the root ball from them. And I will go in and, clean up the leaves and pick off any of the cabbage worms, that I see, because I would like to keep the three varieties that I have here. I don't mind starting over from seed if that's what I need to do. But if I already have established plants, I would like to try and save them as much as possible. So we'll see. Those are some mustard greens that I have back there. This is some Barice chard. Here I have some callaloo growing. This was the first time that I've grown callaloo, and it got really big and I had to cut it down. Here I have my 5-color Swiss chard. We have some yellow in here. We have some red in here. I'll be harvesting this pretty soon. This is my Siberia winter tomato. This is the first time that I'm growing this variety during the winter. And as you can see, it has given me some nice tomatoes. Unfortunately, the powdery mildew is really taking over the plant. So I tried to maintain it, but it has won the battle, which is fine. So I would like for the tomatoes to finish ripening on the vine. That may not happen, so I may have to just pull them and just ripen them in the house. But I don't want the powdery mildew to affect the tomatoes, so I'll probably just go on and take them off. I do have this sucker that doesn't seem to be affected by the mildew just yet, I don't think. So what I'll probably do is remove this one and probably spray it with some neem oil. I'll remove this little cluster here and pot it up, and then I'll be able to have this plant without having to start from seed, because I actually bought this as a transplant. So I was hoping that I could get the tomatoes to ripen on the vine so that I can get at least some seeds. But we'll see what happens with that. Here we have our strawberries. I'm gonna come in and clean this up, but the slugs have been enjoying the strawberries. And they're pretty tasty. I bought these off of QVC, and I can't remember the variety, but I'll put the variety down in the description. Growing some ginger that I planted December 8th. Hasn't come up, so I'm thinking it's probably a dud, but I'll give it a little while longer. Also on the 8th, I planted 6 shallot bulbs right here. I wish you guys could smell these tops. They smell so good. But I planted 6 shallot bulbs. And let me get down in here. As you guys can see how they are growing. They are separating and doing quite nicely, I might add. They've definitely been enjoying all of this rain that we've been getting here in California. And over here, and then our last set down here. Here is another volunteer tomato plant that came up. And funny, this is the same plant that's growing over here. The black strawberry tomato. And the funny thing about this is I was growing the black strawberry tomato right in this section where the marigolds are growing. So when I was cleaning out this bed, obviously a tomato fell and I didn't see it. It got covered up. It grew. So that's how I have this one right here. But how this tomato seed traveled all the way back here and popped up is the mystery. So of course, like I said, I'm going to be pulling that plant. I'm going to be pulling this one as well, but I found it quite funny how this plant is growing in the last raised bed. Oh, and there's one of my garden gnomes. As you guys know, I am going to be renovating Ladybug's garden from one of the last videos that I posted. That this area right here is 16 feet by 23 feet. So I'm going to be moving my 5 raised beds over to this section here, and I'm going to be fencing this section off with a swinging gate so that I can keep my 2 dogs out of my garden once and for all. And once again, they have their own YouTube channel. You can check them out at The Wonder Twins 20. But here is my peach tree. This is my Fuji apple tree. This is my, I believe this is my early glow nectarine tree. This one is my sweetheart cherry tree. Right here we have a Concord grapevine. Back here we have a muscadine grapevine. Right here we have a double apple tree, Cortland and McIntosh. And back here we have our Desert Delight nectarine tree. So that's all of the fruit here in Ladybug's garden. And here in my metal raised bed, this bed right here, I've tried to grow several things in. Let's see, I tried potatoes. Didn't work out too well. I tried sweet potatoes. I planted them too late, so that didn't work out too well. Let's see, I think those were the only 2 things that I tried growing in here, but there is so much worm activity in this bed right here. There are some grubs in here, so I'm thinking what I'll probably do is maybe use this as my compost bin. As you can see, I've put some of the yard trimmings, some of the collard greens that I didn't need in here to try and feed the worms. But if I dig down, and you don't have to dig far, I don't know if you guys can see, didn't have to dig that far or that much. And watch, the worm's gonna turn me into a liar. Are they probably deep down in here? But yeah, there's a lot of worm activity in here, guys. So I'm probably going to, oh, here's one right here. I don't know if you guys can, oh, did I drop him? I probably dropped him. But there is a lot of worm activity in here. So I'll probably just use this as my composting bin. I might do a tomato in here. I'm not sure yet. Oh, and there she goes. But yeah, this is Ladybug's garden, getting ready to go through a transformation. And I'm going to start cleaning up and start potting up so that we can move into the next phase of renovating our garden. But first off, we're going to start with our lemons. Thank you guys for joining me today. Stay tuned for an update.